Welcome, my friends. Welcome to Touching the Edge. Welcome to this process of focusing on what we do for its own sake. And I want to suggest to you that this is exactly what I need. Remember, your test is also your testimony, and what is challenging for you is also what you have for the world. Something about the challenges that you're facing make you an expert on dealing with those challenges. And I want to suggest, for me, one of the biggest things is shifting my relationship out of focusing on outcomes. Outcomes is everything that's happening. Everything that's happening in the world, everything that's happening in your life. I don't know about you, but I have a background of having a sense of myself like I was so messed up that even if there was a God, that I would be too messed up for God to work things out for. But I want to suggest to you that doesn't have to be the way that we look at things. When we step into this process of doing things for their own sake, what ends up happening is we take our mind off of the road. That element where you're so focused on the road, that's what tends to happen to me. Those lines are going, and all of a sudden I find myself falling asleep. That's what the world does. The world is so mesmerizing. Things are so acute that we find ourselves focusing on it that we fall asleep. It reminds me of that old tale about supposedly if you gradually would turn the heat up on a frog in a pot, that the frog wouldn't jump out of the water. Now, I've heard recently that's not actually so, but there's some kind of truth to the image. If things gradually get more and more challenging, and we gradually find ourselves getting more and more sort of saturated with the fact that things are going so poorly, gradually we fall asleep and we lose the ability to actually have agency. So I want to suggest to you, focus on what you do for a while. Focus on putting energy into the world for a while. For me, what I do is I take 2 days a week, and I make, this is important to me as well, where I focus on the news. But most of the week, I'm focusing on trying to make a difference in my world. I want to be that pot that jumps out of the water, not mesmerized by the situation, but actualizing and connecting to support and connecting to resilience and having the ability to accept things just as they are. Not hiding from them, but not having it so much in my face, like trying to walk around like this with a book in front of your face. What I'm describing is not negating or disassociating from those concerns, but recognizing that if we get so caught up in anxiety and doubt, that shifts our ability to come up with solutions. Remember, the challenge is also the road to who you were meant to become. So I'm going to ring the bell. I'm going to ask you to listen carefully. So here we go. This relationship to what we describe as positive indifference, accepting everything just as it is, creates a forgiveness for life. And I want to suggest that one of the things we need to do is forgive life for being this kind of set up. When we do that, when we forgive life, we find some forgiveness for our own self, and we find a synthesis that steps into inspiration and not desperation. Thank you so much for being here today. Please let other people know about these sessions. Please let us get together and support each other in accomplishing our mission in life. Have a great day today.